Jasmine,
Hello.
welcome in. Good to see you.
You too.
Let's take a seat where we are comfortable. Alrighty. So it's nice to see you, I was saying. So I'll skip that up. Okay. It's been a long day. Okay, so it's nice to see you. I'm glad you made it. So please make yourself comfortable.
Glad to be here. I feel comfy.
Okay, before we jump in, I'd like to start with a quick mood check just to see where you're at today. So can you share maybe 1 or 2 words that describe how you've been feeling lately?
I'm mainly overwhelmed, a bit tired. Midterms are coming and finals are also coming, but everything due at once is just a lot. So I think that's where my overwhelmed and tired feelings are coming from.
Thank you for being honest about that and sharing. And it sounds like there's been a lot on your plate lately. You mentioned you're at the high point of school, you have midterms. And I know you mentioned that school has you feeling pretty overwhelmed and just things feel like a lot on your plate. So we will sit with that and we'll work through some of that. We will work through some of that today, okay?
Sounds good.
And last time we met, we talked about some of your thoughts and how they connect to your emotions. Do you remember some key takeaways from our previous session?
Yeah, I noticed I had a lot of negative thoughts, but writing them down helped me see those patterns, honestly. And before doing the exercise, I never thought about writing them down and actually reflecting. And so that helped me a lot, especially about, how I've been feeling lately with school and that overwhelmed and tired emotions I've expressed.
Thank you for sharing. And honestly, that's such good insight. First and foremost, I just want to say that noticing those patterns is one of the first big steps. It shows awareness, and that awareness gives us that foundation for change. So connecting back from the topics from our last session, it sounds like right now you've been experiencing that overwhelmed feeling with school. I know you mentioned last session disrupted sleep, low motivation, and just like a loss in activities. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, great. So I want to go ahead and set a plan for today. I'm thinking maybe we can review your homework and some thought logs. We can go ahead and explore one of your automatic thoughts in depth using the ABC model. Also practice a mindfulness skill. That's something I can kind of guide you through. I feel like you'll enjoy that. And also introduce a grounding and visualization exercise for managing negative thoughts. And then we could just end with the action plan for the week. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay, cool. I'm happy to hear that. So is there anything else maybe you'd like to add or adjust?
No, I like what you have set out. I think that's manageable for today's session.
Perfect, sounds good. So we're going to try and transition to this little middle phase. And so I want to review some of your homework that you worked on last week. So you were asked to complete 2 thought logs to track your automatic thoughts and how they affected your mood. So I wanted to ask, Jasmine, how did that go?
I did a few entries, actually.
Oh, okay.
And then one thing that I did notice is I often jumped to the worst case scenario, especially with school. So
honestly, that's such a valuable observation, and that's something we call catastrophizing, which means imagining the worst, which is something that's really common, and that thinking pattern kind of occurs when we're feeling stressed or even depressed or even with anxiety. So the fact that you're identifying that when you're doing your thought log, it shows real progress and insight. And also, I'm really glad you seem to enjoy them. So I assigned 2 and you did a few entries. That's great. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And I wanted to ask, how did writing down those thoughts feel for you?
Honestly, it really helped me slow down and see what I was actually thinking instead of just feeling the bad things and the negative things and just feeling bad.
Thank you for sharing. So that's exactly the power of CBT. So once we can kind of see and reflect on our thoughts, we can begin to question them and essentially reshape them. So you're already doing that important work, and I'm happy to see that's been helpful and it's been useful for you. So now I kind of want to look a little bit more closely at one of the entries that you did last week for your thought record, or your thought log, my apologies. So can you go ahead and maybe pick one situation that stood out to you?
Yes. The recent entry that I did, we can focus on. I skipped a study group, and it was because I was behind on a lot of assignments that I had, and I felt really guilty and super anxious. I ended up avoiding the other work too. So the reason I skipped was to do the work, but I ended up not doing the work that I skipped for. And then because of my anxiety of missing my study group, that's why I ended up not doing the work. And I just felt very lazy and bad about myself, honestly.
So you're saying that you skipped a study group because you're behind on those assignments, and it kind of left you feeling a little bit guilty and anxious, which kind of brought upon maybe having such high feelings of anxious and anxiety and guilt that you kind of just push those other feelings or those other assignments aside.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And I feel like that kind of brought upon those feelings of maybe feeling bad or lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of break it down here. So the situation is skipping your study group.
Mm-hmm.
So let's explore what was going through your mind. So what was the main thought you had?
Instantly I thought, I'm lazy and I can't keep up and I will end up failing my classes.
That's a tough thought to carry, Jasmine. So let's go ahead and test this out. What's the evidence that supports this thought?
Well, I did skip the group and I am a little bit behind.
Okay, and let's think about evidence that challenges that thought.
I've still kept up with most of my work, and my professor said that I'm improving and also appreciated my feedback and discussions lately in my classes that I've been doing, and I'm currently passing all of my courses.
Perfect. So when you look at both sides, what's a more balanced way of looking at it after sharing that?
Maybe I missed the group, but I can still do the assignments and catch up. And missing one study group honestly doesn't determine me failing completely or that I'm lazy.
Honestly, that's an excellent reframe. I just want to say good job. And after you kind of shared that last sentence, how does that new thought make you feel after you applied it?
Honestly, a lot more calm, maybe a bit more motivated.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So that's exactly what we aim for when we're doing CBT in our CBT sessions. So that's good that you feel calmer, you feel more balanced. And it's not about pretending that things are perfect or that a lot's not going on, because there's a lot of things that can be going on, but it's more so about seeing them more realistically and seeing things more clearly and working with that. So thank you for sharing. And then I did want to say, I noticed your body language is more relaxed, and once you kind of said that last sentence, you just kind of felt that little tenseness kind of just drop. So I'm glad to see that. So now I kind of want to introduce you to something called the ABC model. So the ABC model, it's something of what we use in CBT. It's a core tool. So the ABC model, what it does is it helps us break down situations to understand how our thoughts directly influence our feelings and ultimately our behaviors. So the ABC model for A, it would stand for activate an event. So it is the what happened. And then B would be the belief. So essentially it's kind of like what you tell yourself about it after experiencing what happened. And then C would be the consequence. So the consequence of how you're feeling and what you did. So why the ABC model is important is because most people assume our emotions come directly from events. And CBT kind of teaches us that it's actually our beliefs and interpretations that drive how we feel. So this means we actually have the power to change how we respond. So it's a way to kind of slow things down and see how your reactions often come from your interpretations, not just the situation itself. So once we kind of identify maybe that middle step, which is like the belief, then we can start working and changing on it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I love the way you broke it down too. Because I do notice I go straight from something happening to feeling like really awful about myself and how I handle that situation or the situation itself. And I don't think about that middle part. So I do like that model. That sounds interesting.
Yes, and as you mentioned, you kind of have those moments where you go straight into kind of feeling something and then maybe feeling awful. You know, that's normal. So with the techniques and interventions CBT, we kind of help slow things down and reframe it. So I want to go ahead and kind of go over that middle part that we mentioned. So that middle part, or the belief or the thought, is where we have that like highest influence. So I want to go ahead and map you missing your study group as an example of using the ABC model. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, so for the activating event, that would be missing your study group. And then for the belief, I want to connect that belief that arose. So could you mind sharing the belief with me one more time?
Yeah, so that was that I'm lazy and I can't keep up.
Okay. So when we kind of connect with that consequence, you felt anxious and guilty and avoided that other work that you had intended for that day. So now if we change the belief to something a little bit more balanced, like I missed a group, but I can still catch up, what do you think will change in that consequence?
Honestly, when I shared that belief earlier, I did feel a lot calmer. I still feel calmer. And I probably will be more willing to get back to work too.
Oh, good. Thank you for sharing that. And that's beautifully said. So that's the power of reframing when we challenge distorted thoughts and when we change our emotional response and our behaviors. So practicing this kind of helps rewire our thinking patterns over time. So for example, instead of thinking I always fail, we might reframe it to I didn't succeed this time, but I can learn and try again. And seeing that shift, it kind of reduces that feelings of hopelessness or anxiety and kind of pushes to encourage that constructive action. So by practicing this consistently, we can retrain our brain's automatic thought patterns and create healthier mental habits. So over time, reframing becomes more natural, helping us respond to challenges with clarity, resilience, and self-compassion, rather than kind of just being swept away by that negative thinking. So I want to go ahead and try one more exercise with that ABC model. So I'll take a second and we could kind of go through this together.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is going to be something that we'll work on together. So this is going to be another example. So now that we walk through your personal example, we could go ahead and try this one together to strengthen your understanding. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's imagine this. You get an email from your professor with feedback on your recent paper, and when you open it, you notice a few comments pointing out your areas for improvement. What do you think would be your first reaction?
Honestly, I'd probably think I must have done a bad job. I'm not smart enough. Straight to I'm just not good enough for this.
Thank you for sharing. And I want to say that response kind of frames this perfectly for this exercise. So I want to go ahead and break this down using the ABC model together, okay? So the A for activating event would be that you received constructive feedback on your paper. And then do you mind sharing what the belief would have been for this one?
I'm not smart enough, and maybe even I did a bad job.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And then the consequence would be something like what emotion follows that through. So what do you think would be for the consequence?
I'd feel embarrassed, anxious, maybe even avoiding my next class too, honestly.
And exactly, that's, if we kind of see how we kind of broke that down, that's the emotional and behavioral consequence. So now when we look at what happens if we reframe that belief into something a little bit more balanced, what's an alternative belief that you find that you could potentially reframe that with?
That's a good question. Maybe my professor gives me feedback to help me improve, and this doesn't mean I failed. It just means I can make it stronger, and they care about my education. So,
thank you. So see, that's a great reframe. So if that's your belief, how might your consequences change?
I'd probably definitely feel a lot less anxious and more motivated to honestly revise that paper.
Oh, great. So that's that shift. So that initial self-criticism shifted to that growth and that awareness. And this is what makes the ABC model so powerful. It helps you slow things down a bit and honestly separate that event from the interpretation. So when we change the belief, We change how we feel, how we behave, and that's how CBT helps us retrain the brain over time.
I can see how that would help me not spiral so quickly. That really makes sense, especially how you broke it down. So I get that.
Yeah, I'm glad it makes sense. And I feel like doing these little examples together kind of helps really put those pieces together.
Yeah.
And the more that you do practices, the quicker you'll catch on to those beliefs. And then over time, be able to shift them more quickly before they take over. It's kind of like building a muscle for that balanced thinking.
That makes sense.
Okay, so now I kind of want to introduce you to something about a little mindfulness exercise. So before we begin, Jasmine, have you ever done a mindfulness exercise prior to us seeing our sessions?
No, I can't say I have.
Okay, great. So I want to go and introduce you to a mindfulness exercise, which it pairs beautifully with the ABC model. And this is about noticing your thoughts and your feelings without judgment.
Okay.
So it's kind of like being a curious observer instead of a critic. So I want you to take a moment, if you can, just sit comfortably. Maybe place your feet on the ground, and then just relax your hands on your lap or whatever feels comfortable. And then I want you to just take a deep breath in and then out. And then as you're breathing in, notice the air that you breathe as it goes in through your nose and how that feels. And then take a second. And then as you're breathing out, notice the movement of your chest expand as you take another breath in. And then when you breathe out, you can breathe out all that stress, all that worry, the emotions that you may carry with you today. And whenever you are ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. And then how did that feel?
Honestly, my mind initially kept thinking about assignments, but I was able to bring it back to breathing and relax and honestly think about other things, more positive things, I think, too. So I think that was helpful.
Good. I just want to thank you for your participation. And that's a perfect mindfulness practice. So it's not about staying focused the whole entire time. It's more so about kind of gently returning when you notice your mind wandering. So even 5 minutes a day can make a huge difference in calming your mind, or if you have those heightened emotions. Did you find that it was useful? And if it's maybe it could be something done on your own?
Honestly, yeah, I think doing it before a big assignment or even after a big assignment when I submit it and I'm stressed, I can do that mindfulness and just center myself. So I think it was super helpful.
Great. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad to hear that. So I kind of want to introduce you a new exercise. So this quick tool is called the stop technique. So it's great for moments when you notice maybe a negative thought taking over. So before we kind of go over this stop technique, I'll just kind of break it down, the technique and kind of what each little acronym stands for.
Sounds good.
So the S for stop is we want to just kind of pause what you're doing. And then the T, we just kind of take a breath. And then for the O, we just want to observe. So maybe observe, what are you thinking about or what are you feeling right now? And then for the P, we proceed and choose a more balanced or compassionate response.
Okay.
Yeah, so we could go ahead and maybe try this if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, that seems super simple but super useful. So I'm excited.
Great. So I want to go ahead and have you maybe just feet on the ground and just take your, relax your hands. And then just take a deep breath in and deep breath out. And then just notice the thought. It's just a thought and it's not a fact. It's those feelings of maybe feeling overwhelmed or anxious. I know you mentioned you felt a little bit lazy and behind. And just visualize yourself in a calm place. Maybe sitting on a beach or a quiet grassy field. And imagine you're talking with a close friend who feels the way you do. And what would you say to comfort them? You can maybe tell them they're doing their best and that maybe missing one study group doesn't define them. How did that feel?
Honestly, that pairs really well with the mindfulness activity we just did. And when you said to visualize a beach, that's my favorite place to go. So I visualized that beach and that thought kind of went away. And as you spoke about the friend, that is something I would tell them, that you are doing your best. Missing one study group really does not define them as a student or their capabilities as a student. So I liked that.
Yes, yes. The stop technique, you can visualize a stop sign, you could just picture a beach, or maybe you're sitting in a calm field of grass, whatever you have that little happy place. And I'm glad that you found that useful, and I also think it pairs really well with the other technique. That's great. And also we kind of touched on that sentence about kind of connecting it when we're asked, what would we say to a friend if they said that statement? And we want to ensure that, that compassion we show with a friend, we have that compassion towards ourselves. So this exercise kind of helps us shift that judgment that we may have to kind of that self-kindness and that awareness. So combining this with the mindfulness and ABC model can really empower you when those negative thoughts show up. So before we wrap up and transition to the next section, I just wanted to kind of introduce you to another key CBT tool called the thought record. So pretty similar to the ABC model, but it gives you more space to explore your thoughts in real life. So this is from the CBT manual. So I'll go ahead so you can overview that while I kind of explain. You're welcome. So this is from the CBT manual, and we use this worksheet to understand and how to increase more balanced thoughts and decrease those helpful ones. So maybe we can kind of go through this together, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
So as mentioned, this is kind of a way to reframe our thoughts into a more positive way of thinking. So the thought record's goal is to help clients challenge maybe negative or unhelpful thoughts and shift them to being more balanced. So it's easy for us to want to go straight into those stressful or challenging thoughts, and that is when we tend to focus on what's wrong or what's maybe missing currently. But by focusing on those good things and centering ourselves, it can really help improve our mood and frame our emotions and feelings in a more balanced way. So over time, it will help our brains notice those good things, even in the small ways. So what you're looking at is a thought record, and it kind of breaks down with the situation, your automatic thought, the emotion and its intensity, also the evidence for and against the thought, and the balanced alternative thought, and then also wrapping it up with that new emotion or behavior that follows. And what this does is it trains your brain to just kind of focus for the facts and flexibility rather than that harsh self-criticism that we may feel.
No, I like this. It's like practicing the ABC model but in writing, and I'm visual, so seeing this is really helpful.
Yes, yay, I'm happy to hear that, and it definitely is like a visual. So we kind of think of it as maybe like a daily workout for your mind. I also wanted to touch on your engagement and participation, and thank you for all your engagement participation. You're doing such a great job.
I'm loving it.
So before we transition to that next phase, I just wanted to have you point out 3 positive things, either about yourself or in your life currently, that are either bringing you joy or you're proud of at this moment.
Oh, I like this. I would say I'm proud of how far I'm making in school. Never thought I'd be in grad school, so that's a big accomplishment. And I'm also happy with my friend group. They're a true support system for me, and I also have the support of my family as well, so I'm proud to have support outside of school and in school. And I'm proud that I passed my DSM exam last week.
Oh, that's great.
That was stressful.
I'm happy to hear that, and congratulations. That's really, really great to hear. And that's just really wonderful work, Jasmine. I can hear a lot of your strength and your growth in what you just shared about your hard work in grad school. And as you mentioned, grad school is a big accomplishment, and you're doing a great job. And your support system, and I know when things feel a little heavy, sometimes we forget to lean on those support systems. So I'm glad you have great support, and even your academic accomplishments. DSM can be very challenging from what I heard.
You know.
Yes, and you passed it and you did a great job. That's awesome. And it sounds like even though things have felt a little overwhelming currently, you're still showing that determination and that connection, which is really powerful and protective factors. So holding on to those positives can really help serve as reminders of your resilience, even when those negative thoughts kind of try to take over.
Yes.
So I kind of want to transition now, kind of like to the last part C of our session. So just like a little recap of everything. So what we've covered so far, Jasmine, is we reviewed your homework and your thought logs. We explored in our part C. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna transition to the last phase of session.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to just kind of do a little recap, a little check-in, kind of ask how you're feeling. And I know we bridged the last session, we kind of covered some things and reviewed homework.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of want to summarize a little bit of what we covered today, okay?
Sounds good.
So we did review your homework and your thought logs. We explored an automatic thought using the ABC model. We practiced mindfulness and the STOP technique. And we also introduced a thought record for daily practice. So I did want to ask Jasmine, how did that all feel today in session?
Honestly, it felt really good. I do feel calm. I felt like going over the ABC model and the techniques you shared were super helpful. I feel a lot more relaxed,
Good.
but I'm still feeling a little bit of anxiety because I have a midterm coming up. And I don't know, like after this I have a midterm.
Oh,
And I've kind of been like, now that we're coming to the end of session, I'm a little nervous.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Would you like to maybe implement another mindfulness
I think that'll be
activity?
helpful.
We can do the deep breathing, and I can kind of just guide you through. I know you mentioned you like the beach as a visual.
Yeah.
We could kind of do something like that if that's okay.
I would like that, yeah.
Yay. I'm glad that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad that you felt that calmness, and then I know you mentioned you have a midterm in an hour, so thank you. We could definitely utilize that together.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
No worries at all. Don't be sorry. So if we could go ahead and get comfortable, just sit in your chair, Jasmine. So just relax your hands on your thighs or wherever is comfortable. So just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Another deep breath in and then another deep breath out. And then notice, Jasmine, when you're breathing, feel all the pressures of school as you breathe in, and then all the calmness as you breathe out. And then as you're breathing, notice the air going through your nose, and then feel your belly expand as you're pushing all the air out. And then breathe in, and then breathe out. And then as you're breathing, I want you to think of you're sitting on the calm beach, relaxing, feeling the sunshine on your skin, and just reminding yourself you're going to do a great job. Even though you're at the high point of a semester with midterms, you're doing a great job and you're showing up, you're studying, you've made it this far, and it's such a great accomplishment that you're in grad school. You have those awesome support systems, and you mentioned you passed your last DSM exam, and you have your another DSM exam in about an hour, and you're going to do just as great. And then as you're visualizing yourself on that beach, you're calm, you're relaxed. And then breathe in, and then breathe out. And then any thoughts that you may have in regards to your studies that may be a little negative, just picture a little stop sign. Picture a little pause button. And then breathe out. And then whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Oh my gosh, I almost fell asleep.
So how did that feel? Did that feel a bit better?
I
Did you
feel
calm
good.
yourself a bit?
Yes. No, thank you for letting me do that.
No,
I feel
of
a lot
course.
better.
And I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me. Right, everything was really, really good and how you participated. And you may have felt that calmness, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I have a midterm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the beauty about CBT and the things that we do is even when that kind of thought strikes us, we could kind of pause, reflect, and implement these great little interventions that help us in these mindfulness activities. So I'm glad that helped you. Do you feel a little bit of your anxiety eased a bit?
All of it went away.
Oh, great.
All of it went away.
Yay, I'm
Thank you
glad
so
to hear
much.
that. I'm glad to hear that. And then whenever you have these moments, even if they're at school or you're studying, you could just take that moment and find a comfortable spot, and you could do this on your own. It's very simple, and just guide yourself, and that's something that I even find useful on my own whenever I have those moments.
Nice.
So thank you. I'm glad that was working out for you, and that was really helpful.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So I also wanted to just kind of recap back to the review of what we were doing in the
Yes,
last
sorry.
session. No worries at all. So I'm happy that you found a lot of the interventions and models that we did today useful
Mm-hmm.
and engaging. And thank you for your participation. And it was really nice to kind of do that with you before we transition out and you take your midterm later.
Yes.
But it honestly appears, Jasmine, that you're getting a lot out of our sessions, and that's excellent progress.
Thank
So I
you.
wanted to say that. And so I kind of wanted to go over homework for this week.
Mm-hmm.
So for homework this week, I would like you to complete maybe at least 3 thought records.
Okay.
And I would like for you to practice mindfulness maybe 3 times.
Okay.
So that can be the stop technique. So the breathing and guiding yourself when you're at the beach. You could be in a grassy area.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do that maybe for 5 minutes 3 times a week, okay?
Okay, that's doable.
And what I like is you can do that anywhere, which is good.
Yes.
And this is just an optional piece. I know you have a lot on your plate right now, Jasmine. You're doing such a great job, by the way. But I don't want to overwhelm you with homework. I want to do this doable. So this is why this is an optional piece.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do have the time, I would like for you to write down 3 things that you like about yourself, or maybe 3 things that you're proud of from the week. I noticed when we did that earlier, it really brought you kind of like a sense of peace and reflection, and your face light up when you said all those things. And it's really nice to just have a second and just kind of pause and reflect and just write those things down. Those can just kind of be those little resources that kind of ground us. So if you have the time, no pressure if you can't do it. That could be something implemented later. But I would like for you to do those 2 required tasks and the optional one. So how does that sound?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I can do the first 2.
Okay.
Because I've already been doing the thought records.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll keep those going, and I really loved mindfulness. That was super helpful.
I'm happy to hear that.
So I can do those 2. I might have time to do the other assignment.
Yeah, no worries at all if you can't do that last one.
Yes, but the first 2 are definitely doable.
Okay, great. I'm so happy to hear that those are doable. And I just want to ask Jasmine, so I know they're doable, but if you can give me maybe a percentage of how confident you are in completing those tasks, what would you say?
I would say I'm 90%. I'm pretty confident in doing it. I feel good.
Okay, that's great. I was aiming at least 80, but I got a 90.
90.
So I'll take it. Thank you. So that's awesome to hear, and I love that confidence. I just love how you're really engaged and you're enjoying these interventions and the homework, and it shows you're really building that momentum. And I really want to acknowledge how insightful you've been, and you've honestly just been so engaging, and you've had such great awareness. And that is such true key strengths to me, and I'm just really happy that you've been making the most out of our sessions.
Thank you. I feel like I'm learning so many useful tools that I can actually use, like in session and outside and anywhere. I'm not feeling stressed.
Yes, that's great. That's great. And I'm happy to hear that. And between all that we covered today, can you maybe tell me which one was your favorite? If there is one that's your favorite?
Only one is
No.
crazy. I would have to say the ABC model. That really helped a lot. That put a lot of things, that was really introspective. It was also nice to do the mindfulness exercise with the stop method. I feel like everything just kind of like gradually builds upon each other, which I'm happy for that. And it felt like I was able to slow my thoughts down, and my emotions a little bit too. So that was helpful, and it helped me recognize things. Like my midterm gave me anxiety just now, and I was able to recognize that.
Yes, no, I'm happy to hear that, and we implemented that together, went over those together, and that makes a lot of sense. Like the ABC model is really such a powerful tool to help us understand that connection between our thoughts, those feelings, and those behaviors, and it's really what makes happening and understanding what's going on a little bit more visible. And I'm really glad to hear that mindfulness exercise and the stop method, it really helped you slow down and create a little safe space and kind of understand between your thoughts and those reactions that you were having. So that pause that you had and that you mentioned, that's exactly what we're trying to look for. And that's what allows us to respond a little bit more intentionally instead of kind of reacting like automatically. And it sounds like you're really noticing how these tools can be applied in real life, which is fantastic progress. And I want to thank you for choosing what was enjoyable. Before we end, was there anything that may have stood out the most for you?
I would have to say the ABC model again. I feel like it helped me visualize my thoughts, especially the tool that you provided. So like my thoughts really affect how I feel and what I do. And I don't think I really understood that until you broke it down for me with that model.
I'm glad to hear that, and thank you for sharing. And that's honestly such an important realization. I'm glad it really clicked for you, and we can keep practicing these skills the next session and just add more ways to strengthen these thoughts that you may have into a more balanced perspective. So I just want to thank you again, Jasmine, for all the work that you did today. You did such a great job, and I'm happy to see that you enjoyed your homework from last week and some of the skills and interventions that we implemented in session. Your engagement and your willingness is just to be open and to participate is awesome, and I want you to keep up the great work. And also, I know you have your midterm in about an hour, and I just want to say some words of encouragement. You're going to do such a great job, and I'm excited to kind of hear everything went. And just remind yourself you are doing a great job. You're in grad school. You have that good support system. You've mentioned, just all these great things, and I just want you to hold on to those because and even with your just everything that you shared with me, I know that it'll be great. And I just wanted to ask before we go, is there any feedback you may have for me today about maybe how session went?
No, I feel like everything went so well. Again, thank you for letting me take time to just kind of sit with that anxiety that I have about my midterm and process that with me. I feel so much better. And the way you broke things down today really helped me because I feel like a lot of therapists just go straight for it and they don't explain much. So I'm glad that you took time to explain everything to me. And you have such like a calm tone. Like even when we did mindfulness, I was like, I could fall asleep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate today. Thank you so much for everything you provided.
Thank you. And then as you mentioned, I kind of wanted to formulate our session that was very structured and just the mindfulness exercise and the worksheets, what we did together. I just really wanted it to be something that could be easily digestible and then we could kind of break down together. And I'm really glad that you found enjoyment into it and then it was something that you can see yourself doing on your own. So I'm glad to hear that and I appreciate your feedback. And I'm glad that you really were just so engaged and it was just a great session, I just want to say.
I agree.
I am very happy to see you for our next session and to go over the homework and see how that went for you.
Yes.
So we're going to get close to wrapping up here, Jasmine, but I hope you have a great day and take care.
Thank you so much. See you next week.
I'll go ahead and walk you out.
Okay.
Okay. I think 12.